It's a rather delicious slice of history, isn't it? The kind of story that feels almost too neat to be true, yet it is. The tale of the Austrian mint doesn't begin with a dusty decree or a dry parliamentary act. Oh no, it begins with a king, a crusade, and a colossal pile of silver. The year is 1192, and Richard the Lionheart, King of England, is making his way home from the Third Crusade. He's a bit tired, a bit grumpy, and probably smells quite dreadful. Disguised as a pilgrim, he's captured near Vienna by Duke Leopold V of Austria, a man he had spectacularly insulted by tearing down his banner during the siege of Acre. You can imagine the conversation. "Remember me?" Leopold might have said, with a rather smug grin. This wasn't just a petty squabble, you see. Holding a fellow crusader captive was a serious breach of holy protocol, but Leopold wasn't one to let a good grudge go to waste. Richard was handed over to the Holy Roman Emperor Henry VI, and a king's ransom was demanded for his release. We're not talking about a few bags of coins here. The figure was a staggering 150,000 marks of silver, which weighed something in the region of 35 tons. It was an amount so vast it nearly bankrupted England. The silver poured into Austria, and Duke Leopold, suddenly finding himself with more money than he knew what to do with, made a rather shrewd decision. He decided to start making his own money. And so, in 1194, a portion of that very ransom silver was used to establish a new mint in Vienna. It's a wonderfly direct link between a moment of high political drama and the birth of an institution that would endure for over 8 centuries. The Münze Österreich, or Austrian mint, was born not from a plan for economic stimulus, but from a captured king and a mountain of English silver. This treasure was used to build new city walls for Vienna, fortify other towns, and, most importantly for our story, to strike the very first Viennese coins. These early silver pfennigs weren't fancy, but they were a symbol of newfound power and wealth, all thanks to a rather ill-tempered English monarch. From this rather swashbuckling origin story, the Vienna Mint began its long and illustrious journey. It's quite something to think that every time you hold an Austrian coin, you are in a very distant way touching a piece of history that involves Richard the Lionheart, the Crusades, and one of the most famous ransoms ever paid. It set a precedent for quality and importance that would define Austrian coinage for centuries to come. The mint was not just a factory for currency. It was a cornerstone of the nation's identity, forged in the crucible of medieval European power politics, a truly magnificent beginning, wouldn't you agree? Now, you might be imagining that with all this silver and a brand new mint, the Austrians immediately started striking coins to celebrate birthdays, battles, and royal weddings. A coin for the new city walls, perhaps? Or one to commemorate the day Leopold's tailor finally got his measurements right. But that's not quite how things worked back then. For centuries following its founding, the Vienna Mint was an incredibly busy place, but its focus was purely practical. The idea of a commemorative coin as we know it today, a special piece for collectors, marking a specific event, was completely alien to the medieval mindset. Money was, well, money. It was for buying bread, paying soldiers, and collecting taxes. The coins of the Middle Ages, like the early Viennese pfennigs, were tools of commerce. Their value was tied directly to the precious metal they contained. A coin was worth its weight in silver or gold, full stop. The designs were simple and functional, often featuring the portrait of the ruling duke or emperor, a coat of arms, or a religious symbol like a cross. This wasn't about artistry for its own sake. It was about authority. The ruler's image on a coin was a guarantee of its weight and purity. It was a stamp that said, "This is genuine, backed by my power." The idea of issuing a coin that people might want to keep in a box rather than spend was utterly nonsensical. Think of it this way. In a world without banks as we know them, where wealth was often stored in chests as physical coin, the last thing you wanted was a coin that was too pretty to spend. The primary purpose of the mint was to provide a stable and reliable currency to grease the wheels of a growing economy. Special issues did exist, but they were not commemoratives in the modern sense. A ruler might strike a particularly large and impressive silver coin, a thaler for instance, to display their wealth and power. But these were still intended as currency, albeit for very large transactions. They were the medieval equivalent of a 50-pound note, not a collector's item. So for hundreds of years, the Vienna Mint simply got on with the job. It churned out kreuzers, groschen, and ducats, adapting to the changing political landscape as the Habsburgs rose to become one of Europe's most powerful dynasties. The mint's reputation for quality grew, but its output remained steadfastly utilitarian. The coins told a story, of course, the story of who was in charge and the symbols they held dear. But they were not self-conscious historical documents. The celebration was in the power they represented, not in the events they marked. The age of the true commemorative was still a long way off. Centuries roll by and we arrive in the 19th century. The world has changed rather dramatically. The Habsburg Empire is a vast, multicultural entity sprawling across Central Europe, and Vienna is its glittering heart. It's an age of burgeoning nationalism, romanticism, and a newfound fascination with history. People were beginning to look back, to celebrate anniversaries, and to build grand monuments to the past. And what better way to create a small, durable, and widely distributed monument than to strike it on a coin? It was during this period that the concept of the commemorative coin finally began to take root in Austria, blossoming from a simple tool of commerce into a medium for national storytelling. The first stirrings of this trend were often tied to the monarchy, the central pillar of the empire's identity. Occasions like royal weddings, jubilees, or the completion of a significant project became worthy of being marked in metal. These coins were different. They were often struck in higher quality, sometimes with more intricate designs, and were intended not just for the marketplace but for the mantelpiece. They were souvenirs of the state, tangible reminders of a shared moment in the empire's history. An early example is the 1879 coin marking the 25th wedding anniversary of Emperor Franz Joseph I and Empress Elizabeth, the beloved Sisi. It was a public celebration of a very personal milestone for the ruling family. These weren't just vanity projects, though. They served a clever political purpose. In a sprawling empire composed of dozens of different nationalities, languages, and cultures, these coins helped to foster a sense of shared imperial identity. When a Czech merchant in Prague and a Hungarian farmer near Budapest both had a coin commemorating the emperor's anniversary, it created a subtle but powerful link back to the central authority in Vienna. The coins became miniature emissaries of the crown, celebrating events that, in theory, belonged to every citizen of the empire. They were a form of mass communication in an age before radio and television. The designs themselves began to evolve. While the ruler's portrait remained central, the reverse side of the coin became a canvas for more elaborate and symbolic imagery. We see allegorical figures representing victory, peace, or industry. We see detailed depictions of new buildings, like the Votivkirche in Vienna, whose completion was marked with a special thaler. The artistry and craftsmanship of the Vienna Mint were put on full display. These coins were no longer just about the weight of their silver. They were about the weight of their meaning. The quiet centuries were over, and the age of the Austrian commemorative coin had well and truly begun. If the 19th century saw the birth of the commemorative coin, then 1908 was the year it truly came of age, with a celebration of quite staggering proportions. The occasion was the 60th anniversary of Emperor Franz Joseph I's accession to the throne. 60 years. He had been on the throne since 1848, a living symbol of stability and tradition in a rapidly changing world. The entire Austro-Hungarian Empire geared up for a monumental celebration, and the Vienna Mint was tasked with creating a series of coins worthy of such a diamond jubilee. The results were, to put it mildly, absolutely spectacular, and became some of the most famous Austrian coins ever produced. The standout stars of this numismatic extravaganza were the magnificent gold 100 korona and 20 korona coins. These were not your everyday pocket change. The 100 korona, in particular, was a hefty piece of gold designed to impress. On the obverse, it featured a stoic, elderly portrait of the emperor, his familiar mutton chop whiskers now a symbol of imperial endurance. But it was the reverse that was truly special. It depicted a reclining, allegorical female figure, Fame, resting on a cloud, holding a laurel wreath. The dates 1848 to 1908 were inscribed below, framing 6 decades of rule. It was a design that radiated classical elegance and imperial confidence. What made these coins so important was their intent and their audience. While they were legal tender, their high value and beautiful design meant they were primarily aimed at those who wished to keep a memento of this historic occasion. They were prestige items, symbols of loyalty and prosperity. Banks, businesses, and wealthy individuals acquired them. They were given as distinguished gifts and passed down through families. The mint also issued silver coins for the Jubilee, making the celebration accessible to a wider segment of the population. It was a masterclass in using coinage to unify a nation around a single powerful symbol, the enduring emperor. Sadly, this glorious moment was a last hurrah for the old empire. The sun was setting on the age of Franz Joseph, and indeed, on the Austro-Hungarian Empire itself. Just a few years after these beautiful gold coins were struck, the shots fired in Sarajevo would plunge Europe into the First World War, a conflict that would shatter the empire into pieces. The 1908 Jubilee coins, therefore, exist in a poignant historical space. They are a dazzling celebration of longevity and power, but also an unwitting monument to a world on the very brink of disappearing forever. They are not just commemoratives, they are golden echoes of a lost era. The end of the First World War in 1918 didn't just bring peace, it brought a complete redrawing of the map of Europe. The vast Austro-Hungarian Empire was gone, dissolved into a collection of new nation-states. What remained was a small German-speaking republic, a shadow of its former self. This new First Austrian Republic faced immense challenges, crippling war debts, hyperinflation, and a profound identity crisis. The glittering gold coronas of the empire felt like a distant dream. The immediate task was to create a new, stable currency, and in 1925, the Austrian shilling was introduced to replace the rapidly devaluing krone. The first commemorative coins of this new republic were, understandably, far more modest than their imperial predecessors. The opulence was gone, replaced by a sense of republican pride and a focus on Austrian culture and history, rather than on emperors and dynasties. One of the most notable early issues was a beautiful 2-shilling silver coin released in 1928 to mark the 100th anniversary of the death of the composer Franz Schubert. This was a significant shift. Instead of celebrating a ruler, the nation was celebrating one of its greatest artistic sons. It was a statement that Austria's identity now lay in its cultural heritage, not its imperial past. The interwar period was one of economic turmoil, and this was reflected in the commemorative coin program. Issues were sporadic and often struck in limited numbers. The Great Depression hit Austria hard, and resources for non-essential minting were scarce. Yet, the Vienna Mint continued to produce coins of exceptional artistic quality. Another key coin from this era is the 1934 5-shilling, which marked the assassination of Chancellor Engelbert Dollfuss. It's a somber, powerful piece, a world away from the celebratory Jubilee coins. It serves as a stark reminder of the political violence and instability that plagued the Republic before it was eventually annexed by Nazi Germany in 1938. After the Anschluss, the shilling was abolished, and the Austrian mint was forced to produce coinage for the German Reich. It was a dark chapter in the mint's long history. The independent tradition of Austrian commemorative coinage was temporarily extinguished. The coins of the First Republic, therefore, occupy a unique and poignant place for collectors. They represent a brief, turbulent, but creatively rich period of independence between two devastating chapters of Austrian history. They are small silver monuments to a nation trying to find its feet in a new and hostile world, celebrating its composers and mourning its leaders in equal measure. After the devastation of the Second World War, Austria re-emerged in 1945 as an independent and sovereign nation, the Second Republic. Once again, the country faced the monumental task of rebuilding its economy, its infrastructure, and its national identity. A crucial part of this process was the reintroduction of the Austrian shilling. As stability returned and the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle, took hold, the tradition of issuing commemorative coins was revived, and this time it would really flourish like never before. The post-war era saw the Vienna Mint embark on a regular and ambitious program of creating special coins to celebrate every facet of Austrian life. The themes chosen for these new commemoratives were deliberately broad and inclusive, designed to rebuild a sense of national pride and shared heritage. The focus moved decisively away from political figures and towards Austria's rich cultural, scientific, and historical landscape. The mint issued beautiful silver coins honoring the country's great composers like Mozart, Haydn, and Strauss. They celebrated famous artists and architects, the reopening of national treasures like the Vienna State Opera and the Burg Theatre, both heavily damaged during the war, and significant historical anniversaries of the federal provinces. Each coin was a small story, a lesson in Austrian history and culture that could fit in the palm of your hand. The standard denomination for these popular silver commemoratives became the 25, 50, and later the 100 shilling coin. These were affordable enough for the average person to collect, and they became incredibly popular. People would eagerly await the new issues each year, building up collections that reflected the story of their nation's recovery and prosperity. The designs were often masterpieces of the engraver's art, blending classical motifs with modern aesthetics. A coin celebrating the 500th anniversary of the Diocese of Vienna, for instance, might feature a stunningly detailed view of St. Stephen's Cathedral, while one for the Winter Olympics in Innsbruck would capture the dynamic energy of a skier in motion. This period cemented the Vienna Mint's reputation not just as a producer of currency, but as a guardian of national memory and a producer of miniature works of art. The annual commemorative coin program became an established part of Austrian cultural life. It was a way for the state to communicate its values and to highlight the achievements of its people, past and present. For Austrians, these silver shillings were more than just money. They were symbols of their country's remarkable journey from the ruins of war to a peaceful and prosperous modern nation. They were, and still are, cherished pieces of a national success story. By the 1980s, the world of bullion coins bought by investors for their precious metal content, was dominated by a few key players, most notably the South African Krugerrand. The Austrian Mint saw an opportunity. It had a world-class reputation for quality and artistry, so why not create a bullion coin that was not just a lump of gold, but a thing of beauty? The theme had to be instantly recognizable, quintessentially Austrian, and universally respected. The answer was music. In 1989, the Vienna Mint launched what would become one of the most successful and beloved bullion coins in the world, the Vienna Philharmonic. The design was pure genius. It brilliantly captured the spirit of Vienna as the global capital of classical music. The obverse of the coin features the great organ of the Golden Hall in Vienna's Musikverein, the iconic concert hall where the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra performs its famous New Year's Day concert. It's an image of breathtaking complexity and grandeur. The reverse is a beautifully balanced and harmonious arrangement of musical instruments representing the orchestra. A cello in the center, flanked by 4 violins, with a Viennese horn, a bassoon, and a harp arrayed behind them. It's a symphony in metal. The timing of its launch was perfect. Due to apartheid, the Krugerrand was subject to economic sanctions in many countries, creating a vacuum in the market. The Vienna Philharmonic, with its impeccable non-political theme and exquisite design, stepped gracefully into this gap. It was an immediate international success. Investors and collectors alike were captivated by its beauty. Struck in pure gold, 0.9999 fine, it was initially available as a 1 troy ounce coin and a 1/4 ounce coin. Its popularity was so immense that the Mint later introduced other sizes, including 1/2 ounce and 1/10 ounce versions, to cater to a wider range of buyers. The Philharmonic's success story didn't stop with gold. In 2008, the Mint introduced a silver version, which quickly became one of the best-selling silver bullion coins in Europe. Then, in 2016, a platinum version was added to the family. The Vienna Philharmonic is more than just a coin. It's a global ambassador for Austrian culture. It has won numerous awards and is consistently one of the top-selling bullion coins on the planet. Its creation was a masterstroke, combining Austria's rich artistic heritage with the Vienna Mint's technical prowess to produce a coin that sings with beauty and resonates with investors everywhere. The turn of the millennium brought another monumental change to Austria's currency. On the 1st of January 2002, after a transitional period, the beloved shilling was replaced by the euro. This was a huge moment, not just economically, but culturally. For the Austrian Mint, it meant a complete redesign of the nation's entire coinage, from the 1-cent piece to the 2 euro coin. It also presented a fantastic new opportunity for the world of commemoratives. Under Eurozone rules, any member state can issue its own unique commemorative coins, which are legal tender throughout the entire euro area. Austria embraced this new canvas with gusto. The design of Austria's standard circulation euro coins was a thoughtful nod to its heritage. The small denomination cents feature alpine flowers. The mid-range cents showcase famous Viennese architecture like St. Stephen's Cathedral and the Belvedere Palace. And the 1 euro and 2 euro coins bear portraits of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and the pacifist Bertha von Suttner, respectively. But it was in the collector coin market that the real innovation shone. The Mint continued its tradition of issuing high-value silver and gold coins, but it also began to explore exciting new formats, such as bimetallic and even-colored coins. One of Austria's most popular and accessible innovations has been the 5 euro commemorative coin. Struck in copper, these coins have a distinctive 9-sided shape, making them instantly recognizable. Each year features a new design celebrating Austrian culture, sport, or history. The Mint also launched a series of stunning 25 euro silver niobium bimetallic coins. These are truly special. Each coin features a central pill of pure niobium, which can be anodized to create dazzling iridescent colors surrounded by a ring of silver. Themes like Semmering Railway or cosmology are brought to life with a vibrant, two-tone effect that is unlike anything else. Furthermore, Austria has enthusiastically participated in the common commemorative 2 euro coin programs, where all Eurozone countries issue a coin with a shared design to mark significant European events, such as the anniversary of the Treaty of Rome. Alongside these, Austria issues its own national 2 euro commemoratives. These coins, which circulate alongside the standard issues, are highly sought after by collectors across the continent. The transition to the euro didn't diminish Austria's numismatic identity, it amplified it, giving the Vienna Mint a larger stage on which to showcase its enduring commitment to quality, artistry, and innovation. So, what is it that elevates a piece of metal from simple currency to a coveted collector's item? With Austrian coins, The answer lies in a perfect trinity of factors: artistic merit, precious material, and managed rarity. Unlike standard circulation coins, which are mass-produced from base metals for everyday use, commemorative coins are crafted with a different purpose in mind. They are miniature sculptures, designed to be admired and preserved. The Vienna Mint employs a team of world-class engravers who spend months translating an idea into a detailed three-dimensional design. Every line, every texture is carefully considered to create a piece of art. The choice of metal is, of course, fundamental. For centuries, gold and silver have been the preferred media for prestige coins, and Austria continues this tradition with gusto. The Mint issues a stunning range of collector coins in pure gold and various purities of silver, from the popular €50 gold series to large-format €20 silver coins. The intrinsic value of the precious metal provides a solid foundation for the coin's worth, but it's the artistry that gives it a value far beyond its weight. This combination appeals to both numismatists, who appreciate the design and history, and investors, who see the coin as a beautiful way to hold precious metals. Crucially, the Vienna Mint controls the rarity of these special issues by setting strict mintage limits. A typical silver commemorative might have a production run of just 30,000 or 50,000 pieces for the entire world. Compare that to the hundreds of millions of circulation coins struck each year, and you can see why they become so desirable. This limited availability ensures that the coins retain their collectability and often appreciate in value over time. For many collectors, the thrill of the hunt, securing a low mintage coin before it sells out, is a huge part of the appeal. Ultimately, Austrian commemorative coins are a testament to a long and unbroken tradition of excellence. They are a celebration of the nation's history, its culture, and its artistic genius. From the silver ransom of a medieval king to the high-tech, multicolored coins of the 21st century, the story of the Austrian Mint is one of constant evolution and unwavering quality. These coins are more than just money. They are tangible pieces of history, works of art in precious metal, and a source of immense national pride. And that, I think you'll agree, is quite a remarkable legacy.